Welcome back to the GreenLight Investor for the week ending March 4th, 2016. Our goal at the GreenLight Investor is to provide a unique resource to make managing your 401k both a simple and easy process. We do this with a simple worksheet that uses red, green, and yellow cells to help you decide when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell. This presentation is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as personal investment advice. The examples shown are exactly that. They're examples of how you can use this worksheet as an additional research resource to help you manage your fund choices within your 401k. Always refer to your own investment policy to make certain that the choices you make are appropriate for both your investment time horizon as well as your understanding and acceptance for taking risk in financial markets. Okay, let's go ahead and go right into our worksheet for this week. As usual, we'll go through how the worksheet is composed, and on the left side we have the investment choices. The different column headings include the fund number, the symbol, the fund name, and a brief description of each of the funds. At the top we have our core investments, and as we scroll down you'll see that we go into our satellite investments, starting with the money market, the fixed income funds, U.S. growth and income funds, the U.S. equity funds, international, and then finally at the bottom we have the sector funds. These are arranged in a way so that the more conservative funds are generally towards the top of the satellite investment section, and as you scroll down you'll get into the more aggressive funds. In the center part of the worksheet, we'll update the performance each week, including the closing price, the month-to-date return, quarter-to-date return, and the year-to-date return. This is important so you can keep track of how your investments are doing compared to the other investments available to you in each of the different categories. And the other thing you can see as you scroll down is you can see which of the categories are the strongest and which ones are the weakest. And that may help you make choices within your 401k as far as the asset allocations. And finally, we'll come to what I believe is the most unique part of this worksheet, and that's the current weekly trends. Column U, V, and W focus on the week-over-week trend changes. And in column V, what you'll see are bright green lights for the funds that have performed the strongest on a week-over-week basis. And you'll see a bright red light on the funds that have performed the weakest. In column W, just to the right, each week we'll give each of the funds a trend score, a numerical value. If the numerical value is positive, you'll see a green cell. If the numerical values are negative, you'll see a red cell. And if they're transitioning, you'll see either a red or a green cell with a yellow dot in it. This helps you easily identify which funds are doing the strongest and which ones are the weakest in each of the categories. And that may be a benefit when you're making the choices or reallocating assets within each of the different categories. It also gives you a bigger picture of how the funds in general are doing. When you're seeing a lot of red, it's generally a good time to be away from these funds. And when you start to see some green, you're generally starting to see a little bit of transition into each of the funds. So it gives you a little bit of an early warning. We also have a trend indicator, which is a short-term, intermediate, and a long-term. And I always recommend using the longer-term trend as your primary trend of the market. The short-term and intermediate trend just help you get a heads up on when the market's transitioning or changing from a bullish to a bearish mode. With that said, let's go ahead and see how we can use this worksheet to help you make choices within your 401k. To go to the asset allocation part of the worksheet, you click on the View, Custom Views, and go to My Current Allocation, and it will change the view on the worksheet around. Let's take a look here and see what we currently have. We like to be 100% invested. Currently we have a 10% allocation, and right now we have a 5% allocation. Let's go ahead and slide this over so we can see it just a little bit better. When you're trying to do the allocations, I always recommend sliding the worksheet over so that column R is down here. This way we can see the performance numbers for each of the funds. as well as how the green lights are lining up. Right now we have a 5% allocation to this fund, the total bond fund. We are seeing 2 red lights, so we may, if we see a solid red light next week, we're going to go ahead and shift out of this fund and we'll find a different fund to allocate capital to. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and leave this one here. And we also have a 5% allocation to our growth and income fund. We're seeing green lights here, so we're fine leaving the funds allocated here. And due to all of the red here, we have 0% allocation to growth and income. To our U.S. equity funds, we have a 0% allocation. Again, that's just due to the enormous amount of red to the right side of column V. And our international funds, again, we have 0% allocated, although we'd like to have a 20% allocation or 30% allocation here. Oh, 25% now, we've changed that, I'm sorry. We have a 25% allocation to international funds. We have a 0% actually in it at this point, and again, that's due to the red, the amount of red we have. The one thing that's interesting to notice is that when you look at the past 3 weeks, we're seeing that the numerical values are becoming less negative. So an aggressive investor may want to start taking small allocations into these funds should this trend turn positive and actually be sustainable. If you're a little bit more conservative, you may wait a couple of weeks, and the risk with being conservative is your returns will be much less because of the less risk you're taking. But to the downside, if the markets do go south, you won't get hurt as bad. So it's a question of making sure that you understand your own ability to take and handle risk in markets and arrange your allocations based on your own investment temperament. Finally, we would like to have a 20% asset allocation to the sector funds. We currently have 0, and it's again for the same reason, because of the red that we have. We actually have one fund that was very close to being investable. At the bottom, we have a real estate fund. We have a short-term intermediate, and this recently turned to a long-term bullish. And we do have 2 weeks or 3 weeks in a row now where we've become less negative. So if we do that for another week, chances are we'll make an allocation to this fund. But for this week, we're going to go ahead and sit back, and we won't be doing anything different. We'll wait and see how the next week, possibly 2 weeks, unfold in this market before we make any changes. And again, it's mostly to be a little bit more cautious, so we are giving up the potential of a little more return if the market does go north. But the reason for doing so is to be a little bit more cautious until we see a little bit more green appear, and it looks like the rally that we're seeing is a little bit more sustainable. With that said, that's what I've got for this week. I hope it's been helpful. Let's go ahead and click back to our custom views. We'll go back to the with the performance and then show, and that'll get us back to our home page so we can do some more research on any of the funds that we may be interested in allocating capital to. If you'd like to get any more information, you can go to our website at greenlightinvestor.org, or you can certainly email me anytime and I'll get back with you and offer any suggestions on how to use this worksheet to help you manage your 401k. Thank you again for taking time out of your weekend to watch this presentation. I hope it's been helpful and has given you some additional resources to help you make choices within your 401k. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a great weekend.